Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into Our House. You gotta see this. Check it out. All right, let's get right into it. I know you've seen the pond video. Since we moved out here, I posted it. It's got the thumbnail with the really cool looking pond of me building it, and it says lighted waterfall for the koi pond and all that stuff. If you haven't seen that already, go check that out, because then you'll get to see the main pond that we built. But we've done something different in the last few weeks, I would say it's taken, and we've added to our koi pond. I gotta show you this, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through some of the things that we did. This is not a step-by-step video, and I think it worked out really well. Let's take a look. So here it is, the addition to the existing pond. Now again, if you haven't watched the first pond video, go back and check that out. But I want to tell you a little bit about what we did here to add to this pond and some of the inspiration and ideas we had to come up with this idea. Okay, let's talk about the practical first. The first pond had a pressurized filter, two different pumps. One that's about 5,000 gallons and the other one at 3,600 gallons, give or take. And we had two UV lights, and then it had, as you remember, the sheer waterfall coming out of a pressurized waterfall that had LED lights in it. Now we had a couple of issues with that design, and I want to go through a few of those. Number one, this pond is about 1,300 to 1,400 gallons prior to the addition. As it sits right now, it's probably closer to 1,700 or 1,800 gallons. But prior to that, when it was just this lower box down here, it was about 1,300 to 1,400 gallons. Now with that, we started out with one small light that was a 9-watt UV light to try and kill the algae, and it wasn't keeping up. So we added a 36-watt UV light to that, and that definitely took care of the algae. The problem that we had was in the pressurized filter. It was only rated for about 1,600 gallons, but there's a lot of sort of misleading math behind some of those, in the sense that it may say 1,600 gallons and you say, I've got a 1,400 gallon pond, that's all good. But the truth of that is that pond filter was just not able to keep up with the amount of water that we were running through it on a daily basis or even an hourly basis. With that much pressure passing through a pressurized filter as well, the filters in it weren't effective, meaning that the water was moving too quickly through it, and it was just basically blowing the debris past the filters themselves in that pressurized canister. Now the other issue that we had is that even when it was going through that filter was not able to pull enough debris out of this. We've got about 14 good-sized koi in here. They're, I don't know, the biggest ones are about 12 inches long, and then we've got some smaller ones. So it's not necessarily fish waste, as it is just normal everyday debris and waste and algae and things like that that are going to come into your pond. So we knew we needed to upgrade the filter. The UV light that we had also burnt out, and I thought, okay, I'll just order a new bulb. I ordered a new bulb, put the bulb in it, and it didn't work. The UV light itself, the seals had gone bad and water had gotten in there, and it hit the electrical and it shorted it out, so it was no good anymore. It was a paperweight, so I had to get a new light. All of those things combined sort of led us to add on to this pond. We needed more filtration, we needed a new light anyway, and we kind of felt like we wanted to add more plants, but being that this pond is so deep, you have to put buckets or something in there to be able to set the plants on so they don't go 3 feet down into the water. That's another main reason that we decided to add on to this pond, to make a shallower new pond behind it that would flow into the existing pond, so that we could put a lot of bog plants in it, which again helps with filtration, kicking out the algae, fish health, overall health of the water, you name it, plants help. So, how did we come up with the design that we did? Again, plants played a huge role in that. We knew we didn't want it to be any more than like 16 inches deep, and we've actually got another smaller shelf in there that's only about 6 inches deep. That way you can put all sorts of different plants at different depths. We could still put plants down here in the main pond, but again, we were able to remove the upside down buckets that we had in there that kind of made the pond look trashy. And just eliminate plants in the lower shelf altogether, but still get the benefits of the plants coming through all of the water up top here, which flows into the main pond. We also knew that we wanted to keep the waterfall. That's what this is. But this is a gravity-fed waterfall. It's not pressurized. By doing this and having gravity control everything, we were able to eliminate the pressurized filter and bulk the filter up. Now, I want you to see if you can spot the filter in this pond, because it's here. It's right in front of your face right now. Can't find it? It's in this pot. This pot serves multi-purposes. We have all of these filter pads in this urn. Inside of there are 8 layers of biomechanical filters layered up from coarse to fine inside of that urn. It just fills up to the top and then spills over. The sound is way better coming out of this pond. This waterfall is more gentle, but you can see it still provides plenty of oxygen. Now there are 8 layers of filters inside of that urn. They go from coarse to fine. I ordered them from Amazon. They were relatively cheap, and they're all stacked up in there going from coarse to fine. The water comes up through all of those filter pads and catches everything, and then eventually spills out over the top of the urn, filling the top bog layer, and then coming out in the sheer waterfall drop down here into the main pond. As you can see, the water is really clear. You can see all the way down to the bottom, every little pebble, every little fish. It's all really clean. Now there is a little bit of a slime layer of algae on the pond liner and the rocks themselves. That's a healthy slime layer. That is nothing to be worried about. This water is crystal clear. We use no chemicals whatsoever. Now what's really neat about this urn and the way this pond is set up, and the fact that we use no chemicals, is that the birds will come up and land on the edge of that urn and take bird baths. They can drink the water, they can play in the water, the rabbits can come up and get to the water, the frogs, toads, anything that wants to come out here and get a drink can get it, and there's no chemicals in this water that could harm anything, including the fish. All right, now to the big practical side of it. How did you build it? What's it made out of? Well, much like the main pond, we used pressure-treated timbers once again for the skeletal structure of this pond. We dug it out. It rests on top of the existing pond on one side, and the back goes onto these concrete blocks that we use as footings. That pressure-treated lumber is all connected together. The liner sits inside of that. It goes up over the top edge. We took a piece of outdoor trim, which is like a white PVC material, a Miratech material that you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot, and that acts as sort of a cap to hold it down, and it also gives us something that we could attach all of these pavers to. The pavers are attached with liquid nails. All of the tile is marble. It comes in sheets. We didn't have to use that. You could have used just about anything else, but we attached it all with clear silicone caulk, and it works terrific. So it can get soaking wet and be totally fine because it's a clear silicone caulk that's actually meant for kitchens and baths that are going to be immersed in water anyway. Now you can't see it. Maybe I'll catch a picture tonight. I'm going to add in a little bit of video here from tonight when this lights up, because I want you to see the new lights. So I'll insert that now. This is just an LED strip that's on a remote control that goes underneath the side of the falls, and it shows up at night. You can change the color on it. You can do all sorts of things. These are relatively cheap outdoor LED strips. Again, you can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon. It works on a remote, and it just plugs into the same drop cord that I'm using to power the pumps on this pond. At night, it gives this incredible glow, and it's awesome to sit out here and listen to it and see it all at the same time. All right, there are a couple of things you may have noticed that are not tidied up around the pond as of yet. We need to bring in a couple of more yards of fill dirt, because we want to slope from this new pond box out away from it to keep the water from puddling up around it. So it's going to take a little bit of dirt and some shovel work to build that up. We've got the dirt coming for it, and then we'll put some fresh pine needles out. We've also got another small Japanese maple that we're going to put on this side of the pond over here inside the retaining wall. So there are a few little loose ends to tie up to finish this all up, but as far as the pond goes, it's complete. It's finished. All in, I can't remember all of the costs involved, but needless to say, we do everything on a shoestring budget as much as possible. We picked out a small amount of tile that we know we're going to cover the bottom side with dirt anyway, so we didn't buy additional tile to do the box all the way down. The waterfall stone is actually a piece of threshold that is, I believe, a synthetic stone, don't quote me on that you can get from Lowe's in the flooring department that acts as a transition strip when you have like marble tile and things like that. That's all it is a 6-inch piece of that. It works perfect. We did use some waterfall foam. We got the liner. We already had the hose. We already had the light that I had to order. This urn is actually the pot that goes to an old Christmas tree that we had that my wife's mother bought us years ago that the lights no longer function on. We use that urn. It's now part of the pond. We drilled a hole in the bottom rear of it. I put it in with a couple of pipe fittings, put the filter pads in it, and voila, filter and spillway urn. All in all, I would say that it may have even been a little bit trickier adding this on than just to build the original pond itself. We had to knock down that back wall and take everything basically apart as far as all of the guts of it with the tubes and the lights and the filters and the pumps and all of that stuff. And then we had to work from what we had back into the hill, and digging back here, that is no small task. It is full of rocks, so getting a shovel into the ground is really difficult. I've got to say though that this backyard has really come together. With the stone steps we have going up, the white pergola over here with the stone columns at the base of it, this stone waterfall, water feature pond area with the marble behind it, the flowing urn, the waterfall, the lights, all of this stuff combined together is really starting to make the backyard look like it was designed to be this way. We've still got more to do. We've got more plantings to put out here. We've got more rocks we've got to bring in. We've got to finish the dirt work and more mulch around the pond. So there's more stuff to happen. But for right now, I just wanted to show you the pond and show you just how great this addition turned out and see if maybe this inspires you to do something like this in your backyard. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Be sure to click the bell when you do subscribe so that you get notified every time we upload a new video. We do cooking, we do DIY, we do home improvement, we do all sorts of stuff like that. Stick with us, check us out, follow us. See you next time.